You wake to silence. The lights never came back. The streets smell like metal and dust. You move through a broken pharmacy and hear boots behind you, heavy, deliberate. There's no dispatcher, no backup, no camera that cares. This is not a story about heroism. This is a list of rules. 10 harsh rules. No hope, just reality. If you want hard, usable rules and the tools to practice them, hit subscribe and stay for all 10. Rule 1. Your body is not decoration, it's your primary tool. One-sentence rule. Treat your skeleton, joints, and muscle chains as an engineered system. Use structure, not brute force. Rationale. The human body is a linked set of levers. Power travels through bones and joints, not from wild muscles alone. If your wrist collapses on impact, the force dissipates. If your knuckles, forearm, and shoulder form a single line, energy transfers efficiently. Think of the spine as a central column, the pelvis as your fulcrum, and your limbs as spears and springs. Alignment beats strength, because a small lever applied along a straight load path can outmatch a flail that wastes force. Mini scenario. You're cornered in an alley, and your instinct is to swing wildly. Instead, create a short, structural strike, body aligned, hip rotated, exhale on impact, to surprise and move the threat. That brief, structurally correct action costs less energy and creates an opening. Ethical exit reminder. Every physical action aims to create space to get away. Do not treat this as sport. Train the mechanics, then use them to leave. Rule 2. Make space. Distance is the first defensive weapon. One-sentence rule. Your priority is to control distance so you never allow a stronger opponent to impose a fight. Rationale. Distance determines options. Outside arm's reach, they can't bruise you. At arm's length, you can strike or push to disrupt balance. Inside their chest, you're in trouble. Footwork is the control mechanism. Step, pivot, push off, retreat, to keep the ratio of time to response in your favor. Maintain a low center of gravity to resist being shoved, and use angles rather than back and forth linear movement. The goal is lateral space, not simply backward steps. Mini scenario. A looter approaches with confidence. You shift your weight to your rear foot, drop your base a notch, and pivot to the attacker's blind side while creating an outward palm or shove. That lateral move breaks their forward momentum and gives you 3 seconds to exit. Ethical exit reminder. Make space to leave. If you can't, create temporary space, any opening to run, and evacuate immediately. Rule 3. Parry, don't block. One-sentence rule. Redirect incoming force instead of meeting it head-on to conserve energy and exploit openings. Rationale. Blocking absorbs force. Parrying converts it. A small deflection applied at the right angle uses an opponent's momentum against them, exposing their balance and breathing while conserving your stamina. Use soft redirection, a brief touch to the wrist, an inside deflection on a swing, paired with a step-off to change the line of attack. The mechanics are simple. Light contact at the extremity, immediate torque on the attacker's axis, and a positional reset for your exit. Mini scenario. An assailant swings. You tap the strike offline with a minimal, precise deflection and shift your hip to the outside. Their weight follows the original path. They're out of position. You move. Ethical/exit reminder. Parry to create exit, not to expand the encounter. If the chance to withdraw appears, take it. Rule 4. Aim to disable, then run, not to dominate. One-sentence rule. Your objective is temporary incapacitation and flight, not a trophy fight or a lasting injury. Rationale. Disabling a threat is tactical, not celebratory. Quick, disruptive actions, a strike that shocks nerves, an unbalancing shove, a pointed stomp to a booted foot, interrupt intent and buy time. The body has vulnerable points that produce large behavioral results for small effort. A shock to a sensory point causes reflex withdrawal. Remember that disabled doesn't mean destroyed. The goal is a window to escape. Use closed chain mechanics, short levers, tight joints, and immediate retreat. Avoid prolonged grappling unless it's your only option. Mini scenario. You're grabbed from behind. A hard palm heel push into the attacker's hip combined with a heavy step back breaks the grip long enough for you to pivot out and run. Ethical/exit reminder. Any mention of vulnerable targets is clinical. Use the knowledge only to disable and escape. This is a last resort action to protect life, not an avenue to exact punishment. Rule 5. Punch right. Structure over brute strength. One sentence rule. Deliver force through aligned bones, not bent wrists or flared fingers. Let skeleton do the work. Rationale. A correct fist aligns the index and middle knuckles with the radius and ulna to create a solid load path. The shoulder and hip rotate together like a single coil. The core transfers torque into the arm. Breathing matters. Exhale sharply on impact to bracing the core and transferring force. The metaphor is a spear. A straight, stiff line hits harder than a whip. Small, accurate strikes with clean structure have greater effect than wild power attempts that leak energy. Mini scenario. A desperate push turns into a shove to free you. You plant your rear foot, rotate your hips into a short, direct strike, structural, compact, to the attacker's torso to create a flinch and a path to retreat. Ethical/exit reminder. Use compact strikes to break intent and move away. Do not escalate to sustained violence. Get distance. Rule 6. Move the head, manage the base. Slip, duck, and stay low. One sentence rule. Protect the sensor hub, your head, by pairing small, controlled head movement with a stable, low base. Rationale. The head is the command center. Short arcs of movement remove it from predictable lines. Combine subtle head slips with a lowered center of gravity and a staggered stance. A low base makes it harder to be pushed off balance and allows your legs to drive recovery. Treat movement as a combination of head unpredictability and foot-rooted strength. Remember, legs are stronger than arms for generating balance and escape. Mini scenario. Someone throws a swing. You tuck, turn your chin, slip outside the strike, and simultaneously push off your rear leg to create lateral distance. The attacker overcommits. You're gone. Ethical/exit reminder. Slip and move to exit. These techniques are defensive counters designed to break an attacker's rhythm long enough for a withdrawal. Rule 7. Ground survival. Legs over arms, bridge and roll to scramble. One sentence rule. If you hit the ground, prioritize leg power, bridging to unbalance, and immediate escape to stand. Rationale. On the ground, arms fatigue fast. Legs remain your biggest leverage. Guard, control, and create frames with your forearms to keep space. Use the bridge, hip drive into a fulcrum to create rotational space and destabilize a mounted assailant. The simplest, highest probability outcome is to use hips and legs to roll into a scramble, regain your feet, and re-establish distance. Long grappling exchanges favor the stronger or more experienced. Scramble early. Mini scenario. Someone pins you to the pavement. You tuck the chin, plant a foot, drive your hips into a bridging motion, and kick a leg to create enough tilt to roll and regain a seated base. From there, you post on a hand and shoot to your feet. Ethical/exit reminder. While on the ground, act quickly to escape. Survival is about getting vertical and moving, not winning a ground fight. Rule 8. Choke and airway defense. Buy air, create space, fight dirty if necessary. One sentence rule. If your airway is threatened, prioritize breathing and gross motor escapes. Do whatever is required to break contact and flee. Rationale. Airflow trumps finesse. When respiration is compromised, you lose fine motor control and cognitive clarity. Use tucks, chin protection, and forward-angled pressure to create a pocket for air. Gross motor responses, hips, elbows, and body weight shifts are the fastest ways to change contact points. In those moments, small ethical niceties vanish. Apply immediate, decisive action to force a gap and run. Practice escapes that rely on torque, leverage, and leg propulsion rather than finger strength. Mini scenario. A hand clamps your throat. You pull the chin in, grind your chin into the attacker's grip while using your hips to turn and drop your weight, forcing their hand to shift. That micro movement gives you breath and an opening to throw a heel and scramble away. Ethical/exit reminder. Choke defense is last resort. Use necessary force to create air and exit. This is survival, not vengeance. Rule 9. Train the panic. Box breathing and stress inoculation. One sentence rule. Build reliable responses under pressure by controlling breath and repeating simplified high-fidelity drills. Rationale. Stress collapses options. Under threat, the body shifts to fight or flight and tunnel vision sets in. The most reliable reset is breath control. Box breathing, inhale for a count, hold the breath, exhale, hold. Slows heart rate, reopens the prefrontal cortex, and buys cognitive headspace. Pair breathing training with progressive stress inoculation. Short, repeated drills that introduce incremental pressure so that motor patterns become automatic. Neural pathways strengthen through repetition. When your heart races, your body will default to practiced responses. Mini scenario. In a dark building, you feel the adrenaline spike. You ground your feet, execute 3 cycles of box breathing, settle the pulse, then perform a practiced escape drill. A crisp structural strike, a lateral step, and sprint. You don't plan in the moment, you run trained action. Ethical/exit reminder. Train consistently and responsibly. Repetition is how you avoid improvisation. Never assume untrained moves will work. They might not. Rule 10. Get vertical. Ground is where people die. One sentence rule. Your highest leverage and survivability come from standing. The fastest path back to standing is the path to life. Rationale. Being upright expands options. Movement, speed, visibility, and the ability to exploit leg power. Ground positions limit your capacity to flee and increase exposure to multiple attackers. After creating a gap, use the simplest, fastest method to regain your feet. Post with a hand, turn toward your exit, and push off. In structural terms, re-establish your fulcrum, hips over feet, square the shoulders to your escape line, and move. The enemy's opportunity window is fleeting. Seize it and leave. Mini scenario. You break a scuffle and see a clear alley. Instead of searching for a fight, you post on a palm, roll to an aircraft quick stand, and sprint down a side street. You don't watch your pursuer, you go. Ethical/exit reminder. Standing and running is not cowardice, it's practical survival. Don't stay to prove a point. Reality check. What to train and how to practice it safely. This world is stripped of infrastructure and assistance. That doesn't mean improvisation without preparation. Train small, high-frequency modules, structural striking drills, parry and step repetitions, short escape-to-stand progressions, hip bridge sets, and breathing under moderate stress. Practice with partners who understand safety and progressive exposure. Use protective gear, controlled environments, and qualified supervision when you increase force or complexity. Drill responses until they're reflexive. Then add stress, loud noises, time pressure, simulated grabs, so your motor patterns survive panic. Technical primers in practical terms. Kinetic chain, think from foot to fist. A strike begins on the ground, travels through hip rotation, transmits through the core, and exits via the shoulder and arm. If any link bends or leaks, power fails. Fulcrum and bridge. Your hips are a lever. Drive a bridge by planting feet and thrusting the pelvis to rotate an opponent's base. It's a mechanical way to change someone's balance rapidly. Alignment of fist and wrist. Keep the wrist stacked behind a tight fist so the forearm bones absorb load instead of letting the wrist collapse. Distance control. Use steps and pivots. Small adjustments beat large reactions. A 30-degree pivot is more valuable than a 3-foot backward step if it exposes a flank. Legal and ethical statement. These rules are survival-level responses for emergent threats. They are not instruction for criminal behavior. Use these techniques only in defensive contexts and as a last resort. Training should be responsible, legal, and proportional to the threat. Practical training plan to get started. Week 1 to 2, fundamentals. Focus on posture, footwork patterns, breathing drills, and slow structural strikes performed with a heavy bag or mitts. Emphasize alignment and hip rotation. Week 3-4, partner drills for parry and step, short clinch breaks, and escape to stand mechanics with light resistance. Include controlled fall and recover work to practice bridges. Week 5-8, stress inoculation. Add timed rounds, noisy environments, sprint exits after a simple strike sequence, and surprise grabs, low risk, supervised. Evaluate physical readiness and adjust. Always include cooldowns, mobility work, and recovery. Strength without mobility is brittle. Mobility without strength is fragile. A final moral and tactical lens. You will meet stronger, faster, and more ruthless people in the aftermath. That truth is what makes these rules necessary, not what makes them cruel. Your responsibility is to preserve life, yours and others, with proportional means. That means avoidance first, de-escalation when possible, disabled and exit when necessary. Every skill you practice must be tempered by restraint and the knowledge that violence changes lives. You prepare to prevent passing moments of danger from deciding your fate. One last line you need to repeat until it becomes reflex. Make space. Make exit. Don't stay to win a fight. If you want drill plans, safe progressions, and guided sessions to build the 10 rules into reflex, check the pinned link and watch the next episode in this series. Train hard, train safe, and when the lights go out, do the smallest thing that buys the biggest window to run.